being that I was one of the co-sponsors of both Amendment 1 and Amendment 2 in the Florida House of Representatives. So, full disclosure, I'm in favor of both, but will gladly express both opinions. But before getting into the substance of the amendment, I just want to say how excited I am to see such great turnout here tonight. And if you are here tonight and you don't regularly attend your local Tea Party meetings, I would really encourage you to do so. You know, Tea Party meetings aren't just a place where you come and hear speeches from politicians. It's not just a place where people get angry and holler a lot. I have found the Tea Party meetings I've attended to be a very genuine exchange of ideas. Some of the policy discussions we've had with Panhandle Patriots, with the Fort Walton Beach Tea Party, the Navarre Patriots, Niceville Valparaiso Tea Party, those policy discussions would rival the most in-depth and detailed discussions that we've had in committees in the Florida legislature. And I think that's a real positive sign. It shows the direction that really that our country is going. So now to Amendment 1. Supporters of Amendment 1 say that this will end welfare for politicians. And here's what I mean. Since public financing was enacted in Florida, about $30 million of your money has gone so that statewide politicians can campaign and spread their message and buy TV ads and buy robocalls and newspaper ads and direct mail pieces. And at a time when Florida is facing dwindling resources, when we're having to make real tough decisions that will reduce health care access for some folks, that will change the way that we fund some of our schools, where we're looking at cutting back on certain infrastructure and road projects because of a declining economy, there are many of us in the Florida legislature, myself being one, that believe that we shouldn't be spending that much of your money just for politicians to go and seek public office. You know, this money is not just going to underdog candidates or underfunded candidates. The best example is that in 2006, Charlie Crist, running for governor, received $3.3 million of your money. And that was after Charlie Crist broke some of the spending, or some of the fundraising records. He even broke Jeb Bush's records for fundraising and still received significant amounts of public money. Fiscal conservatives think that is wrong. People in the Tea Party ought to think that that is wrong. If you look at your principles, the principles that we talk about when we come to Tea Party meetings, keeping taxes low. We don't do that when we spend recklessly. A principle also is to spend responsibly. This isn't responsible spending. And also we stand up for individual liberty and individual responsibility. You know, those on the other side of Amendment 1 would say that we need to level the playing field, give everyone equal access to a message. You know, in our country, I never read anywhere that we give equality in outcomes. We give equality in opportunity. So if someone wants to run for statewide office, they have the same opportunity that anyone else would have to ask you for your contribution, to ask you to help out with their campaign, to ask you to volunteer. We never guarantee in our country that there's an equality in outcome, that everyone is going to end with the exact same amount of money in their campaign war chest. And I think that, you know, it's a good thing that we can see fully transparent who's raising dollars and where they're coming from. And they're all voluntarily given. And if we want to make judgments about who's making contributions to people, that's all public record in the state of Florida, and we can determine who's making those contributions, and we can ensure that the contributions are ones we're comfortable with our candidate of choice receiving. Now, you know, there are arguments on the other side that I'll present in a minute, but I think that it's fundamentally flawed to say in Florida that this ought to be a priority. You know, you elect representatives to go and really articulate your priorities for your communities, and that's what we ought to do. And we shouldn't recklessly spend so much money for politicians to run for statewide office. So that is the genesis of Amendment 1, and I would ask you to vote no to extend what I only consider to be welfare for politicians. Not any politicians, but even politicians who receive large sums of money. In some states we can see that even it's trickled down where legislative candidates get money, public money. We don't have that in Florida, but I don't think anyone should. So now I'll go with the other microphone. Applaud if you agree. Good. It feels so strange over here.
Put a mustache on or something. So
That's right. I'll wear my disguise. Opponents of Amendment 1 make this argument. There's a large amount of corporate money that enters into the Florida election process. And that money has a significant impact on a candidate's ability to spread their message. And so if no candidate was so reliant on individual contributions or corporate contributions in Florida, then we might have better government. Opponents of Amendment 1 also say that we have to spend money on those things that are a critical interest to the state of Florida. And opponents of Amendment 1 would say that a critical interest of the state of Florida is good government and making sure that we have good folks that are elected. Some opponents of Amendment 1 would say that in order to have candidates like McAllister, who was a candidate that had messages that resonated with those that he was able to speak with, that if they had more access to public dollars, then we could elevate the level of debate in our political campaigns. So, sorry I can't be as verbose on this side, but that is, the argument is that it creates a level playing field and a more equal opportunity for everyone to spread their message, and it will limit the ability, or it will diminish the importance of corporate contributions. So, that's the other side.
All right.
All right, thanks, Matt. And of course, Matt's going to be presenting for Amendment 2. I just wanted to add a little editorialization to Amendment 1 for you. The other thing that the people who are urging people to vote no on Amendment 1 like to bring up is the fact that the people voted overwhelmingly for the present public financing requirement 13 years ago. And that is true. Amendment 11 in 1998 is where this came from. But let me tell you a very important thing about Amendment 11. It was actually a 6-part amendment, and this piece of it was merely one part of those 6 parts. The other things that Amendment 11 included were giving equal ballot access to minor party candidates, that now very popular universal primary contest that we have in Florida, the fact that allowed gubernatorial candidates to run without running mates in primaries, turning the school board office into a nonpartisan office, and I don't want to say most importantly, but of course in 1972 we amended the U.S. Constitution to give 18-year-olds the right to vote. In 1998 we amended in Part 6 of this amendment the Florida Constitution to give 18-year-olds the right to vote. So yes, it was passed overwhelmingly, but it was a 6-part amendment, and that public financing was merely one piece of those 6 parts, just so we're clear. All right, we're going to move on to Amendment number 2. Oh, actually, nope, see, this is why that slide's there. So, it's time to vote on your straw ballots.